clear. We were on mile 1.5. You're like, I gotta pee.
I really don't.
I gotta pee, and I'm like, we just started.
That was just the nerves.
Yeah.
You know, like before a basketball game or something, we used to have. Hadn't had that in a while. I really don't think it was mile 11, but.
It was maybe 8. I mean, it wasn't like mile 3 or 4. It was either like 8, I feel like it was like 10, 8, 9.
It's changed a lot in the last.
You got me.
I thought it was like mile 5 or 6.
6.
Regardless, that doesn't change the whole point. Old Charlie was letting me know that he had used the restroom, and when I inquired in between breaths, through it was done via sign language, which was the universal, at least.
Well, it's not universal. I think it's only between you and me and
Dad. Sorry, but old Charlie gave me one of these, which wasn't like the PJ Fleck, Gophers. What is that? Like a 4th down, or is that a 3rd down?
Yeah.
A sign, whatever. This means bad news in our book.
Bad news.
So this meant Charlie had to take a little bit of a pit stop that was going to take longer than a couple of moments. So there was a lot of people on this part of the race lined up. And
Spectators.
And it was pretty busy, the pack hadn't broken up overall. There was a lot of runners in there, and they had porta potties just off the road, scattered kind of throughout, not constant. But there was a group of, 2, 3? It wasn't very many of them.
Yeah, just a couple there.
Yeah, just a couple porta potties there. And Mitchell goes, I got to stop. I'm like, well, at this point, we had done like all of our training together, and it was kind of known between us that we're sticking this thing out,
Yeah, I thought at that point it was no man left behind.
It was that was the plan. A one for man, or one for all, and one for all for one. So I was all in. I'm like, whatever. I wasn't very happy about it, which I think they let me know. But I'm like, whatever, go. So as we're sitting there, and I was taking advantage and stretching the old back out. I look over again, and because there was a couple of people you had to wait in line for, like 2, 3.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mitchell's standing in line behind a gentleman wearing jeans and a camera around his neck. And I usually think I try to be rather respectful, or wouldn't say anything. But I was like, dude, I'm like, go ahead of him. These aren't like. This isn't a porta potty in the park. I mean, this is clearly meant for people running the race, hence it facing the road right on there. And you did not.
No, he apparently had to use it worse than me. If he had to sneak in there and do that.
And just for one moment, talking about a common courtesy, or just being what?
I'm a courteous person.
Well, I'm talking, I'll give you most of the blame, but for that other gentleman, would he not understand a bit of the urgency?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why he had to use it worse than me.
I mean, and just like, hey, maybe you would like to go before me, being I'm not running 15 more miles after this. And
I don't think it crossed his mind.
But anyways, yeah, that was the gist of the story, is how the guy carrying the camera, took up, he added another 30, 45 seconds to my time.
Yeah.
Or more than that. We should look back on the race and see how long we were.
Well, we were standing still so long there, the race coordinators came to check on us. I thought one of us was dead. Our marker hadn't moved.
I think you got out of there. You got out of there pretty quick enough anyways. But no, and there's another good example, crossing over to life. Sometimes you don't know when there's going to be a bellyache in life. Sometimes there's a lot of belly aches as far as the challenges, unforeseen, unexpected, and often unpleasant. That's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, like you said last week, most people aren't sitting around most days thinking, "God, this is a good time for a bellyache."
No,
I'm really pumped about it.
No, like you said, yeah, or that bill that comes in the mail. Oh, thank God, I have all this money. I didn't know what to do with it. But I wasn't saving this for a rainy day or a trip. Thank God it came now. Yeah.
Good news, honey. We don't have to go on that trip after all.
I know you were really stressed about it.
Now we don't even have to pack.
No, all right. I'm sure there'll be savings in it somewhere. But anything. Yeah, not to beat that up again. Which, whether it's whatever kind of illness in a marathon that plague somebody, that's not ideal at any point in the race, not something you'd wish upon, which I always think this, and this is very common, I'm sure, for everybody, but I'm super like cognizant of this. So when you have like the dreaded stomach bug, which is just a nightmare again, I can't imagine anybody enjoying that, but like the worst.
Feels good when you're done.
I mean, like the worst. Yeah, for 30 minutes, depending on what stage you're in for round 3, 4, 6 comes in. But when you're sitting there and ill and you're thinking, my God, if I was not sick like this right now, I would just be so thankful. I'd be so thankful for anything. Just make this stop. And I promise, know what I mean? I'll take everything. But how fleeting that is. Know what I mean? So, you're sicker than heck, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Somehow you fall asleep, get a good rest, and you wake up and you're on the mend. How fleeting that mindset was, or that thought of, God, if I can just get through this. You know what I mean?
No.
People forget about that in a hurry. Myself.
I think this is similar-ish, but not exactly the same. But I love the little story that they use about the person in the crowded parking lot, and they're like, God, if you can please just help me find a parking space here, I'll be so grateful. I'll do anything. And just at that moment, somebody backs up and they go, they're like, never mind, I found one.
Yeah, scratch that. Let me put that one. Let me save that one for later. Doesn't count.
But no, I do. I think it's just taking those moments for granted is something that, people, I don't know, I try not to do. I mean, even just, the times you said about feeling good, you wake up and you don't think like, oh, I'm glad I can breathe out of my nose today. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. But with the marathon thing, it's especially the first one, you're not really thinking like mile 8, 10, 12, like, God, I'm sure glad my legs are still working the way they're supposed to,
Well, it's exactly. I think this whole thing, and why there's so much translation, that's why I like it. Not because I'm good at it, because I'm not at all. But I just love, just all the crossovers. And I had told you when we have been doing some more serious running, like my favorite quote, because someone that runs it in like 2.5 hours, it's like, oh my God, look how easy. Know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it puts in perspective too, because and I wish I could quote the person. Maybe it was unknown. We'll find it later. But got to think for a half second here. Is you don't train so the race doesn't hurt. You train so you can withstand the pain. Training the mind, because again, it doesn't matter if the guy's running in 2.5 hours. I'll never know, but I'm assuming it doesn't feel very good.
I wouldn't think so. I don't even know how it feels to run like 500 miles, but I imagine it's not great.
I imagine there's a little soreness that happens there, but I think that applies again directly just to life as well. Yeah. As far as, again, like we talk about, you take care of yourself, you're mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever it may be, fit. And it's not because, he does these things, so it doesn't hurt, it doesn't suck. It's like, no, you do those things because when things do suck, things come up, you can withstand it. You can get through it. And I think that's kind of that's the main deal of the whole thing. You got to put it in.
Well, every day, it's easy to overlook the good moments and the good things, when a bad or something, a little bit more difficult comes up. But I think you just got to take it all in stride and realize that things aren't always going to be perfect or the way you drew them up. And that's why I think it's so important to take advantage of the times when things are running smoothly.
Well, and acknowledge it. And again, similar to what you're saying, I think so many times in life I'm guilty of this, where it's like, if I can just get through this, something at work, is not a fun thing. It's like, if I can just get through this. There's always going to be if I can just get through this, sitting on your plate.
And before you can just get through that, there's going to be a couple other things waiting for you at the end.
But that's the same as, little marathon training when you get building up your bigger runs on the weekend or whenever you choose to. It's a lot of times the mindset, well, if I can just get this. It's like, no, there's going to be another one waiting for you the next Sunday too. And some of that's, I think, a valid coping strategy too. Know what I mean? Because it would be overwhelming to to think, oh, there's another one around the corner, another one around the corner. But
Well, you can't just dwell on it. I feel like you have to
No.
like attack it too.
You gotta
You
attack
can't
it,
just
but-
be like, oh man, 3 weeks from now, got to do this. You know, it's kind of like an Eeyore way of looking at things. I mean, it's just gotta be
No.
overwhelming to
But
do that.
But I think, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just so easy. Just I don't know. I think it's a lot better just to be in it and realize and be cognizant there's going to be challenges more days than not, especially if you're in a position of leadership. There's the great thing about it, you get a front row seat to all the absolute awesome things happening in whatever organization or whatever you're doing, and you also sometimes get to pick up the pieces of some of the challenges too, which there's some backseat glory, is that what they say in that?
Never heard of that.
No, again, well, same as I didn't hear that. Same as the marathon
Is that
too.
actually a thing?
No, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of times the most, I don't know, fulfilling and kind of great, whatever emotional experiences in life are often in quiet, I would say.
Well, it is.
Where a lot of growth happens. Know what I mean?
And I think it's good, just, I don't know if this is what you meant, but getting to a point where your attitude is such a way that, you know, you don't even maybe realize all the time that you're uplifting people or that you're helping people with, you know, just with your attitude. You know, you're
Yeah.
not trying to go above and beyond to make a point. I mean, it's just kind of who you are and what you're doing, and, you know, it just helps people that way. I mean, throwing that another marathon story out there. The first one we did, I don't even know if it was mile 19 or whatever it was, or 20. And I still remember, again, this guy doesn't even know me. I don't know him, and still don't know his name, but the guy who wore
Did you meet him in the porta potty?
No,
Oh,
but he was wearing the Buzz Lightyear costume for the whole marathon, and I'm struggling with all of this, trying to, you know, limping on the edge of the road, and he's just like, "Come on, man, you got this." I'm like, "Yeah," and then I just try to stick with Buzz Lightyear the rest of the round.
took you home.
He
didn't
did.
know. Little comment got you through.
So, but yeah, just, I mean, for him, you know, that meant absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Yet for me, it's something has stuck with me. I mean, what was that? 5 years ago, 4 years ago? I mean, it's still right there for me.
It
and
probably
just
helped that he was wearing a Buzz Lightyear costume too. That made it a little more.
Well, yeah,
memorable.
it made it memorable for sure. But I mean, just at that moment, it was like that.
No.
That's exactly what I needed
But see,
to get me going.
And I think that's a fantastic point because again, the back and forth and all the relations it has, but just everyday things is what mile did you say it was? Did you think that he
It was probably
met forces?
19 or
19, 1920s when things are getting pretty hairy if they're not
Yeah.
already on fumes, and how vulnerable one is at that point. I mean, honestly, so at that, as an athlete, as a runner, you're in a pretty vulnerable state.
20. Well,
I mean, so if there's not a whole lot of gas in the tank, so if something goes astray, you know, you're pretty easy to break
oh yeah,
at that point, which again, I think ties in exactly as you said. One, in a leadership position, you don't know where someone is, you know, with all the people you get to work with. You don't know if someone's at that point. No one usually knows. You know what I mean? If they don't show it, someone could be at that point at a given time.
unless they got some crazy eyes out or something.
No, especially every hand's differently. But, you know, if you think of the positions that we get to be in, you know, so you're talking adults and you're talking all the number of kids that you get to work with, and you just never know.
Parents, community
Yeah,
members.
you just never know when someone's on that, not last thread, but someone's in that vulnerable state where they've been kicked in the teeth, kicked here, you know, a couple things going wrong. Things are picking up speed in the wrong direction. And that's why you could be the Buzz Lightyear at the marathon for anybody, any day. I mean, you never want to be, because you never want to be the other one. You know, I think that's a perfect thing. You can be the Buzz
final
Lightyear guy.
straw.
You can be the Buzz Lightyear guy. So come on, let's go. You can do it. Or like I said, even though it's never happened, I've seen the "you suck."
Give up
You
now.
know, yeah. What are you doing? Or see that sign. That sign almost did break me. You know, you read the signs along the routes, which are awesome, and obviously it was in good fun, but it buried in my deep little pea brain. I remember this was several miles in, and I was struggling a little bit, and I read a sign and it said, you don't have to do this. It's like, my God, I don't. I could stop right now and walk off the course.
They're right.
Nobody would even know. But here's another thing, and we may be, what's it called? I'm having a hard time thinking tonight when you go against what you're saying or whatever. Know what I mean? Giving out two different messages.
A double standard or something.
Yeah,
that's
kinda.
not the right way, but
No, but just saying one thing, talking out of both sides of the mouth. But bottom line, especially when you're talking to marathons, we've done a couple. One, went well for me, not for the big old Peachio, not as good as he had hoped over there. But then the script flipped. But sometimes, and this is just a life principle too, it was my own fault because I was super lazy, not in great shape, didn't eat right. And there were some life happenings that went on the second time we were training for it. Was not nearly as committed. And again, this is talking out both sides of my mouth, because if I wanted to, I could have found the time. What I mean? I could have been pounding the treadmill at 11 o'clock at night, woke up earlier and got it done. I didn't. And it was just a different experience. Anyways, paid the price for it.
you didn't get any oranges.
On race day. Well, as I said, there is no oranges when you're in the shadow of the bus, I learned. But the reason say is sometimes you just sometimes it's going to be ugly. But that day, and no one, I'm not going to share what race it was and what time, so no one can look up the time.
Oh, yeah, they ain't going to look at your sweatshirt.
It wasn't, they could do that. It wasn't good, though. Anyways, I walked just as much as I ran. But the bottom line, there was still a lot of satisfaction came from that. And I think my competitive edge just kind of weaned a little bit over time. Don't get as excited about stuff. But I'm like, if I do just destroy this time and not a good way, like actually destroy it bad, like I'm gonna, have a hunger to get back at it again. It's like, no, I was pretty happy with it that day because I felt just as miserable, the whole time. And sometimes, I'll let you jump in. This is just a funny piece, whether it's your long runs, like on the weekend or whatever, or the marathon, you always like plan like what you're gonna eat. You're gonna destroy something. So whether it's gonna be you're gonna house
after you mean.
Yeah. So and that's motivation throughout. Where you're gonna house for me, a specialty would be a frozen pizza and maybe a couple of beverages on top of that. So that's what I was thinking. Like during the race, it's like, oh my God, I can't wait till I get myself a pizza and so whatever. And then I don't know when that changes, but sometime between the middle of the race and the finish line, at least for me, I couldn't even eat. Well, this is saying something for me. They had a glazed donut or whatever. I couldn't even do it.
Oh,
I wanted to.
I ate mine
in chocolate milk, which was
delicious.
I couldn't do it. I didn't eat like anything the rest of the day.
I was to the point where, that donut was great. But I was to the point then where we went to the taco spot after, and I was able to eat some tacos, and then we got pizza for supper.
What do you mean a taco spot?
It was a vinyl taco.
Vinyl taco?
Yeah, check it out.
You ate when you were still there?
Yeah.
You.
I said I felt amazing.
Maybe you should have ran harder.
Maybe. Couldn't. I'm saving for tacos, but obviously we're both competitive. I'm super competitive. But when it came to this, because I wanted to beat my time from the original marathon. So again, for anybody who doesn't know us, we're not like we haven't run 29 marathons. We've run 2 full marathons.
It feels like a lot more than that.
It does. But I wanted to just beat my original time. And by doing some basic math in my head as I was running, after a certain point, I realized that more than likely wasn't going to happen. and I will say this, though. That was quite possibly the most freeing experience I've had in a very long time, because I went from grinding, like, just, I don't want to say it's stressful. I mean, it was a great experience doing this, but like trying to, make literally every second count, trying to get there, do this. When I realized I didn't get that, it was just amazing. When, we had Mom, Dad, and Ashley, and Brendan, and the kids there, and I pulled up and just stopped for like 3 minutes and just visited with them. I went walking, and I'm smiling, waving at people, and I run a little bit. My legs cramp up. I stop. I'm like kind of laughing. I'm like, well, whatever. walk some more, run a little bit, just waving at people and whatnot, saying their signs are cool. And I mean, for me, then it was like, oh man, this went from feeling like kind of like a job to being just free. Like now it's like, all I need to do is just finish this. Like this isn't a big deal now. And I think that sometimes, not saying that that's necessarily the attitude you want, like on a daily basis, like, that's probably not overly healthy either. But just, you got to take some of the seriousness out of it
No.
and give yourself an opportunity to stop, take a breath, eat that glazed donut, and just realize, that, this instant, this moment, this isn't probably going to be the defining moment.
No,
of
there's a
your
balance too, like you said. I mean, you can't take that. Some days you're just gonna have to chalk up. It's gonna be half an L, like you said. That was the important thing at that point was just finishing. Like you said, you don't want to have that.
No, and I think
Another
this,
day.
Just don't take that the wrong way. I mean,
No,
yeah,
well, it's just balance. You
don't
can't
take,
say.
yeah,
You can't
just
go through me going through the BK drive-through and say, "Oops,
no.
oh, it's a couple Whoppers. I'll do better
Yeah.
tomorrow."
But I think just you see someone in the hall, it doesn't have to be a walk into the next thing. I mean, it could even be take a 15 seconds, 30 seconds just to visit quick, check in, see how the day is. I mean, just to even give yourself, if it's just a little reset or something kind of a thing. It doesn't have to just be, just constant. All day. You got to
But in that, yeah,
give yourself a little bit of reprieve too.
no, that's for sure. No, there's a balance one has to have. And yeah, like I said, the seasons of life, sometimes it doesn't go like you plan, or things rarely do anyways. So
Well, it is, and it's hard because you had said about afterwards thinking about, oh, I'm gonna house this pizza or do whatever. And I mean, I also think it's just, I mean, a marathon is a great example of life because you can train, you can do all these things, the night before, well, the week before, the night before, the morning of. You can make sure you eat this and you do that and you're rested and you got on your lucky socks or whatever it is. And bottom line at the end of it, especially for some more amateur type runners, you really can't say it for sure how it's going to go. You don't know at what point your hamstrings are just going to boom, or your shins, or your foot or whatever it might be. So I mean, you can prepare for the best and plan for the best, but really just know that you're probably going to have to take a different route to get to where you want to be too at some point.
no, rarely gonna go how you want it to go. But
And then from that point, I feel like it's you make what you want. You can say this is the worst and this isn't gonna, I can't do it, or you can just adapt and
no, I think
keep going.
Well, I think it's exactly right. It's preparing the best you can, preparing for the best you can, but knowing that things aren't going to work the way you want them to, and having the humility to be able to laugh at it once in a while.
Well, yeah, and know like this life isn't perfect. Each day is not going to be perfect. I mean, and every now and then I feel like you have to take advantage of like the near misses too. I mean, like the other day, Dirks falls down and it's like, oh man, you should be picking up your teeth off the floor right now, but instead you popped up and you were fine. It's like, how would the second half of Sunday look if this had happened, kind of a thing? But it's like, no, it's dodged one there, and
always could be worse. Usually could be worse. Somebody's got it harder than you too. Which that's again a great example. When you're on the marathon course, you're feeling miserable for yourself. Feel like you're at the bottom of the pit, and then you see other people. It's like, my God, do I look like that? I hope not.
I think I've said that before. But I mean,
that's good.
I mean, that's how I felt. Before, it's like you see somebody and you're like, man, they look like they're in some tough shape, and as they're pulling away from you,
yeah, what do I look like? I just think it's I as far as humility goes, I mean, one has to have that, certainly, if you're actively pursuing that. And I think it goes, there's just a bunch, I think characteristics and traits are highlighted. Like you said, your Buzz Lightyear guy. I found myself in a little pack of gentlemen that I hope I'm just still on this earth when I'm that age, nonetheless, running a marathon course, struggling to keep up with them. And again, everyone has different goals, everyone's after something, and it's just interesting to see. I mean, even when someone's on some discomfort or whatever, there's just some people that are just likable, that are attractive, that, like I said, even if you're in the middle of some crap, you just got people that you can lean on. So
what is it? I think it's good is to get to the point where you don't have to try to be that person, but just be that person so frequently that you just are.
Yeah.
There is no like, oh yeah, like reminding yourself to do this or that. I mean, because for me, for him, that was nothing saying that. He didn't have to say anything. I mean, really, apparently, nobody else said anything other than he's the only person out of thousands of people that were passing me that said anything. And I just think about that just in passing anywhere else, whether it be at work or at the grocery store or whatever it is. Granted, some people want to be left the heck alone, but, just sharing a smile or waving or just saying hello or good morning to somebody, that might be the thing they needed to boost up their day or get them through the day, even though it didn't take anything on your end.
It's hard to imagine with you anyways. I've had that experience with other people. Because usually if you were saying that to me, I'd want to slap those big teeth out of your head.
Say what?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
I'm just saying coming from you.
No, I don't ever really tell you good morning.
Huh?
I don't ever tell you good morning.
It's usually not if I'm with you.
It's a great morning.
Huh?
It's a great morning.
No, I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing you, Charlie. I think when you talk about those people, the Buzz Lightyear, for example, and someone I mentioned, when someone's got a smile on their face, even if they're going through a little bit of hell, is you just aspire, you hope that you're that for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes you don't know. I think it should be a practice to let people know that, hey, obviously you can't. You probably couldn't track down Buzz. You probably could. I'm sure he probably does that every year. So you could if you wanted to. You could drive down there in a couple weekends.
Go find him.
Yeah. But I think that's the goal, is that you want to continue to aspire to be those people, which the cool thing about leadership, I think, and, when you think of any profession, if you put yourself out there a little bit, you got a larger circle of sorts. You get to meet some people and get to work with people, some that you don't gel with, which is natural, and some it's like, God, I just really like the way that person goes about their business. I like the way that they treat people, and you get to steal little things from them, and ultimately, you're trying to become your own person, but it's like, makes it a lot easier if you have some of those models too. If you can kind of put yourself up there and be like, God, I wish I could do that, or I wish I could be that. And I think that's the fun part about it. It's the fun and exhausting part. It's not, as we talked about, there is no finish line, which is a marathon. That's a bad example because there is. Whoops.
But you finished that though, but you're not done. That's not. You're always gonna continue on to something else. Even though, again, for me, running a marathon was a bucket list item. We did it, and you said about doing another one, and I'm like, no. I said, for me, I'm like, you don't really do a bucket list item twice or more than that, because you do it once and we're done. So you kind of shot that to heck, but yeah, I feel like you're always, you run a marathon, but you're not done with it. You're gonna keep on trying to better yourself, or keep running, or prepare for another one, or whether it be a half or a 10K, 5K. Whatever it is, but I think you're still gonna keep going as long as your knees will let you anyway.
No, it's a vicious cycle in a good way. All the right ways. I think The other thing about it, and as we've talked about this before, is when you talk a marathon, you ultimately just respect the game by anybody. As far as people that are willing to put themselves out there, they're out there just for themselves trying to accomplish a goal, but in that arena of sorts on that day, there's definitely could be some judgment. People are small, big, whatever it may be,
younger, older.
Yeah, moving fast, moving slow. Everyone's just out there to accomplish a goal, no matter how ugly it is. And as we said, sometimes it's clean, you got there, but sometimes it doesn't matter how you get there either. If you run, walk, whatever it may be, sometimes it is just crossing the finish line, which can be an analogy. You can break that down just for a day too. Some days you're going to be flying, hardly getting skin up, and some days you're going to get battered and bruised, and got to get up and run it back. It's the only way you can do. Run her back again.
Go after that PR.
That PR, yeah. Chasing the best day you can. And yeah, I think there is. It's finding that balance between giving yourself some grace and not completely, making yourself go crazy, but also making sure you're humming right along and pushing yourself a little bit.
Gotta keep the pedal down, but you gotta know that sometimes there might not be all 5 gears to shift through. Maybe you only got 3 of them today. So
as Kevin would say. What does he say?
If you don't,
I only got 2 gears. If you don't like this one, you're really not gonna like the other one. Moving a little slow, and again, there's sometimes, like you had alluded to earlier, you just gotta take a moment to pause and breathe into, because otherwise it's gone. So I think it's a balance.
You can't just keep it completely down constantly. Or else you're gonna run out of gas, and take little moments to fuel yourself up and interact with others. And
that's for sure. Gotta take some time for the good stuff, because it seems to be fleeting. A lot of those things, you don't know how much juice is going to be in the cup, especially if you drink it fast like me. I don't know what that meant.
I don't either.
I don't know.
You look like a guy that drank juice fast, though.
Juice fast?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I'm not a huge juice guy. You're the one. I can tell you're an elementary principal, holding that prime like a 12-year-old.
That's gone now.
Yeah, because you drank it all.
Yeah, because I was fueling my body with lost electrolytes and whatever other crap was in there.
I'm not, well, look at this. I'm clearly not going to be talking, about myself. I drank a Dr. Pepper today.
Diet Dr. Pepper is the best pop.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I had a Dr. Pepper. I didn't even enjoy it that much. Huh?
Why?
Why?
Why didn't you enjoy it if you drank it?
I think that's backwards.
No.
Why didn't I enjoy it if I drank it?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't it just dumped it out?
I said what I said.
You just realized it makes sense.
No, it made sense to me.
Huh?
It made sense to me.
No. No. Tonight?
So why didn't you enjoy it? I'm still waiting for you.
I think we should go by I don't know, that's not my favorite pop, but I just drank it because
if it was a diet Dr. Pepper, it would taste good.
And I think I should go by my middle name. We should have for this podcast, even though it's coming to an end. Know why?
Jamie, I promise.
My middle name is not Jamie. What is my middle name?
It's James.
James.
Did you not remember?
No, I remember my middle name, but I'm sitting next to a giant peach, so it would have been funny tonight.
James and the Jam.
Hey, you gotta say it all loud.
Remember that.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Charlie, you big dumb son of a gun.
You don't like my shirt? I usually only wear neutral colors. I was feeling flashy today.
So you do look flashy.
Thank you.
I try not to bring attention to myself, although you're in a little more fit position right now.
Not really, especially after.
You know what's funny is I could still beat you in a race.
Not for long.
Like not for long, like a long distance, or like you're gonna.
Well, I've said this. This has been going on now.
You're done. You're cooked.
You've beat me the last, I believe, 5 races we've done over the last year and a half combined time.
That's very sad.
It is, because I see you run, and it looks terrible, and I'm like, that sack of you know what? Just beat me in a race.
That's Saka, just burly muscle.
Burly muscle. That's Saka. Corn syrup.
You wouldn't put corn syrup in a sack.
Oh, you would if you didn't have a bottle.
Who would bring a sack to fill up a big vat of corn syrup?
That's what it looks like. You got into a sweatshirt, a big vat of corn syrup.
What is this?
That's shake a bag of corn syrup up. That's what would happen if you did some jumping jacks.
Yeah, no. Well, maybe your shirt should be so tight. I can see both your peaches. I want something better. Next time. How about you put on a hoodie next time?
I will.
I don't want to see all your curves on this next podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Turn off that ring light. It's making me sick.
I'm gonna buy an extra big sweatshirt. I believe they come extra large. Extra big.
Where was that going?
So
if you spit that out clean, as I'm calling you, taking some pot shots and being over. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna buy an extra big sweatshirt. You sure show me. Excuse me, miss. I can't find the extra bigs. Can you please assist me? No wonder you can't get clothes for your kid. You're around looking at stores like that. That's XL weed. I'm looking for the extra bigs.
Where's the XBs?
Oh my god. Yeah, you're something.
Oh my gosh.
You're something, Charlie.
That is terrible.
I still don't know where that was going. Where was that?
No, you were saying about my shirt being too tight or whatever.
So I was a little form fitting. I was
gonna bring wear an extra big or an extra large sweatshirt next time to hopefully drape over myself.
That's what I did. I tried to tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You said it didn't work though.
It's fine. It's better than me.
Better than the t-shirt I had on.
Huh?
It's gonna change. We'll finish with this. I've been too much, and I've alluded to this and with you. You know, the last year or two of my life, I found myself living in seasons. Not like the weather changes, but
winter is coming.
Just seasons of being really good and then being down, which some of that's natural too, I think. But I need to straighten things out, which all comes down to routine and being cognizant and making good choices. Because as you alluded to, it starts off by making very cognizant choices if it's a direct goal or just, hey, I'm going to do this for this amount of time, and then pretty soon. That's just kind of who you are.
But I do think
we do this now.
But before you get to that point, I do think it's overwhelming to just look ahead, thinking like I have to do this. So again, I take it a day at a time until it just becomes like you had said, the norm and the expectation, and then you got it. It's just habits. That's just you then.
That's how habits are formed. That's how you change. Anybody can change. But yeah, this was our rambling episode all about the comparisons, which I think there's a lot of. There is. You made some good ones.
And I do want to throw out there too, because we've been meaning to do this, but just if anybody has any questions or thoughts or areas they want us to cover, feel free to shoot us a message or a DM on what do we got, Facebook, Instagram. We got anything else?
Yeah, you can comment on YouTube.
YouTube.
Don't say anything mean.
He can, but we'd rather he didn't.
That's okay. We can take it.
Mom's got a bunch of burner accounts.
Would it be good or bad thing she'd
mean.
Say?
On the burner account, it'd be mean. But in her real one, then, well, she doesn't have, but then she just texts us that it was nice.
Probably. All right. Well, we'll be back. We'll be back soon, Charlie.
Yeah. Until next week.
Until then, we'll see you next time.